onwards from Aspire 2025. We're conducting a series of interviews which are related to key measures included in the Smokefree Aotearoa Action Plan. And today I'm delighted to be speaking with Professor Jon Berrick. Professor Berrick is Emeritus Professor at the Universities of Sydney, Western Sydney, and Yale National University of Singapore College. But he's very much best known in tobacco control fields for being the originator of the tobacco-free generation idea. And that has been included in the Smokefree Aotearoa Action Plan. So Jon is an excellent person for us to speak to today about that. So welcome, Jon.
Thanks so much, Richard.
If I could start off by saying in New Zealand, we have at the moment a limitation of the age of sale of smoked tobacco products at 18 years of age. So what are the limitations of that as a measure?
Yes, well, that's been in force. Minimum age sales been in force for over 100 years in New Zealand. Most people obey such laws, but unfortunately there's a significant minority that don't. And it's important to understand why that's the case. So basically the problem is the messaging. Put yourself in the shoes of a 16, 17-year-old who's receiving the idea that somehow it's okay to smoke at age 18, but for them, 16 or 17-year-olds, that's not okay. Well, that's just unconvincing because there's no that occurs on the 18th birthday. So the message that somehow it's safe to smoke at 18, but it's not at 16 or 17 is unconvincing. And laws have to be convincing. For example, there's a prohibition on driving on the right-hand side of the road. And that convinces people because they know there'd be chaos if people could drive wherever they like. And so that law doesn't really need enforcing. Everybody obeys it because it's convincing. Whereas this under 18 law is not convincing. And so whereas some people obey it because it's a law, a lot of kids won't. The other thing is it sends a signal that this age 18 is an age of maturity. It's what the tobacco industry research calls and makes the cigarette a badge of coming of age. So that's, again, a bad signal to be sending to young people.
Right, okay, that's very interesting. So what is the alternative that has been proposed in the Smokefree 2025 plan?
Right. Well, it's been known as the tobacco-free generation proposal internationally. Well, smoking is so dangerous that the ideal thing to do would just be to ban sales, but that's not going to work because tobacco contains nicotine, which is one of the most highly addictive substances around. So we've got a lot of addicts, nicotine addicts, who need their fix. So if you say no sales, then what's going to happen to them? How are they going to get their fix? So you can't do that. So you've got a similar sort of issue as faced with, say, asbestos in buildings. When it's realized asbestos is very dangerous, then there'd be a problem with pulling down existing asbestos buildings. So what's happened in New Zealand, 2016, the government said no more imports of asbestos, no new buildings to be with asbestos. So this is what's known as grandfathering. And so that's what this tobacco-free generation or smoke-free generation proposal is. It's to say you're going to grandfather, so existing customers, which in this case is going to mean those born up to the year 2003, they're going to be treated in exactly the same way as under current law. But those born from 2004 onwards, you can have sales of tobacco to them. So they become the tobacco-free generations, the smoke-free generations.
Great, thank you. So the proposal is that sales would not be possible, would not be legal to people born after a certain date, in this case, 2004.
So over time they'd be phased out.
Yeah. And how is that an improvement then on the sort of the cutoff of having 18-year-olds or 21-year-olds or whenever? How does the tobacco-free generation improve on that type of law?
Right. Well, it's about the signals. So it's sending the signal that there is no such thing as a safe age for smoking, which is a very important signal to send. And also, it removes this cigarette as a symbol of maturity, as a badge of coming of age.
Yeah.
So that it's no longer the case that people, if they're seen with a cigarette stick in their mouth, that indicates that they've reached this age of maturity.
Yeah. Okay, so it has some very clear advantages. Assuming it's introduced and it's effective in reducing the supply and therefore the uptake of smoking amongst young people, what effect is that going to have on smoking prevalence?
Well, there's some modelling being done in New Zealand, which clearly indicates a strong long-term effect of this proposal. And I think there's also been some evidence since then, some international evidence, which suggests that the signals that it sends will actually heighten this effect, that you can actually get a faster effect than just the modelling would suggest. Right. Which is very positive. Another thing is, of course, if you think about it, the younger the age structure, the faster this policy will take effect. So in communities where there is a younger age structure, and one thinks here, obviously, let's say Maori, Pacifica communities, then the effect will be more dramatic. So it has in New Zealand, we'll have that pro-equity effect as well.
Yeah.
Which is quite important.
Oh, very, very important. And yeah, we've got these huge disparities in smoking, so anything that reduces those disparities and the subsequent harms is really very important. So what about other winners and losers from a smoke-free generation or tobacco-free generation proposal?
Well, the obvious losers, the multinational tobacco companies, manufacturers. So the winners, well, the obvious winners, the tobacco-free generations themselves, because the harms of tobacco are so great. For example, it's not a statistic that one hears much, but over the last year, there have been twice as many deaths related to tobacco as there have been to COVID. Internationally, yeah. So there's that. There's a denormalization effect that, because one accompanies this, the messaging from the government has to be that there is no safe age for smoking. That denormalization, I think, will encourage more smokers to quit. It's an extra incentive for them to quit. We all benefit from less environmental tobacco smoke around, because if there's fewer smokers. And also there's an economic benefit, because tobacco doesn't just kill people, that you get a tremendous increase in lungs, heart, cerebral, etc. So that there's gain in lifespan, in productivity too, because of those productivity gains, and reduced health costs, reduced burden on the health system, you actually have very big economic gains as well.
Great. Well, thank you very much, John, and thank you for giving us all that insight into the tobacco-free generation. I think one of the features of the action plan is that it does have a strong focus on preventing smoking uptake, as well as, of course, helping existing smokers to quit. And I think that's a very positive feature of the plan. And this measure is a core component of those efforts to eliminate, really, the uptake of smoking by young people, and hence tobacco smoking dies out over time and is maintained as sustained. It doesn't come back. So thank you very much. I do encourage people who are watching this video to look at our other videos on other aspects of the Smokefree Aotearoa plan. We've got a range of international experts like Jon speaking on different aspects of the plan, and we're very grateful to Jon and all the other experts for giving their time and expertise to us. So thank you, Jon, and go well. And it's been great speaking to you.
Good. Thanks so much, Richard, and my pleasure, and best of luck with the action plan.
Thank you.